into creating the plan, part of it is in terms of having a sense of what your ideal workday is and thinking through what you might need to do differently from your current state of affairs to be closer to realizing your ideal workday. And then, because an academic term is many, many, many workdays linked together with breaks for the weekends. Really important. I know I'm seeing people do this, eyes wide open, like, breaks for the weekends? Yes, taking some time off so that you can rest, so that you can rejuvenate, so that your brain can just be quiet, so that when you come back you can start to see those connections. So we're going to work through these multiple steps, identifying our goals, mapping out the necessary steps in order to accomplish those goals, putting them in our calendar. Ooh, that's a tough one. Actually making space in your calendar for these things. And then thinking through, what's your community, to tie back to Paula, what's the accountability and support group, the network, the system that you need to have in place or that you need to cultivate so that you're being checked in on in terms of making progress on these goals and then working the plan. So, all right, first one up, identify your goals. So I've given you some examples from my own plan for this term. And for the purpose of this session, I'm going to use the first goal, which is launching a survey project and collecting data at the end of February and through March as the one that we'll be talking about. But you can see here I have a number of different goals listed. And I want to point out that it says goals should be SMART. SMART goals, which are specific. What exactly do you plan on doing? I'll push back on you, Amy. Just reading in the field, reading in our relevant literature is not a specific enough goal because it's too amorphous. We might never do it. It's also not measurable in terms of, well, you could theoretically count up how many articles you have read or what have you over the term, but it's not in the same frame than if you said, I want to read these 5 articles, and I will know when I have read that because when it's measurable, I'm going to have abstracts or one-page takeaway message or a line in an Excel spreadsheet that gets the sort of main gestalt of the argument from that article, and that's how I will know. What makes a goal attractive? Do you really want to do it? And this goes back to the New Year's resolutions. Lots of people say, well, I'd like to lose 5 pounds, but do they really? Are they really committed to the behaviors that might look like? What is attractive about your goal? What is attractive about reading those articles? Is it because you think it will help you to see new connections across your field? Will it be useful because it will inform your literature review? Are you really committed to doing it? Realistic. If you don't have the capacity and the competencies and the skills to do your goal, then you'd probably need to back up one step and create a building block goal that gets you to that place. So for example, if somebody's goal was, I want to run multi-level modeling analysis on some research question, but they didn't know how to run descriptive statistics, then that would not be a realistic goal that they just set forward, because they've essentially set themselves at a goal at point 11 in terms of statistical knowledge base without even having level 1 knowledge. So you need to sort of rein in and say, is my goal realistic for my knowledge, skills, and abilities at this very moment? And then what's the time base on it? I call the time base the woulda, coulda, shoulda. I should have read those articles. I would have done this had I had time. But if you don't make the time into the SMART goal, then it's just this amorphous thing. We should always read more. I'm going to write this paper. Well, I'm going to write it next term, and then next summer, and then next fall. So when are you going to write it? Be specific. So that's what SMART goals are. So I've given you my example, and now I turn it over to you to spend some time identifying what are your goals for this term that are manageable to accomplish between now and mid-April. And I really challenge you to write them in a way that's specific, measurable, attractive, realistic, and time-based.